Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's news, Toyota and Lexus just posted the best ever November for both divisions. Before we head over and discuss it, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more about Lexus and Toyota's news and reviews. But I'll see you on the other side, and let's go over. Over at the Lexus press room, December 3rd, Toyota Motor North America posts best ever November, car sales up 6% and truck sales up over 10%. Hybrid sales are killing it, 65% up. Toyota's up 68% in itself and Lexus up 51%. RAV4 sales continue to increase 26%, marking best ever November, led by the RAV4 Hybrid. NX sales up 14.2%, marking best ever November, led by NX Hybrid. Toyota division posted its best ever November with 177,000 plus vehicles sold, an increase of 8% over a volume basis and 4.2% on a DSR basis. Lexus division posted its best ever November with 30,000 vehicles sold, an increase of almost 14% on a volume basis and almost 10% on a DSR basis. Feel free to read the individual highlights for Toyota and Lexus. I'm going to skip straight to the charts. The Corolla doing well, up about 17% compared to last November, and it's about a wash compared to last year. They're up overall so far. The 86, even though it had a decent month, it's still down about 19% on the year. Avalon really tanking in sales compared to last year, down 23%. And for the month, and then about 16% on the year. Prius had a good month, but again, it doesn't really matter because they're behind 21+% on the year. Camry having a good month. Camry just sells so much volume with the Corolla. If you look, the Corolla sold 281,000 units and the Camry's 310. They sell a ton of these things. So usually when that volume's that high, it's going to be a little bit more stable from year to year. You can see the Corolla's up a little bit. You can thank that to the Corolla Hybrid and the refresh or the redesign essentially on the Corolla. And then the Camry down just a little bit overall, but they're still selling well over 300,000 units. So their car division in total isn't taking that big of a hit compared to Lexus. We'll talk about the Lexus ones here in a second, but down 3.6% a volume basis. But overall, they had a really good November. Talking about the Lexus sedan division, down 11%, almost 12% on the year. The month was not that great, about 11% behind compared to last year. What is the only, well, you guys saw the thumbnail, and the RC is doing really well, but it doesn't really sell anyways. So it's up over 100%. They're selling over 2 times the amount of vehicles they did last year. At least compared to month, but they still only sold 450 units, so the volume's still super low on that car, but it is outselling the GS, it's outselling the LC. The IS is really dying, and there's a couple of reasons for that. The main reason, I think, is because volume. They're not making any ISs. We honestly don't have any at our dealership. We had just one for many months, and it was there for about 9 or 10 months. So the IS, for whatever reason, is not doing well. It is really long in the production cycle. So the next year, we're going to see incredible increases on the IS, not for 2020, but when the 2021 model comes out about a year from now. The ES continuing to do well. It had a really good last November. This November was even better, up over 7% on volume. And then you can see it's up 7% on the year. So ES continues to do really well. If they're able to throw all-wheel drive at it, just like they did with the upcoming Avalon and Camry, that thing is really going to take off. GS, you can mark it as dead at this point unless they throw something out of left field and come with a nice redesign or something, but the GS at this point is dying, just like the current IS is, until they come out with the redesign on that. That should take up the GS's place as well if the IS is a little bit bigger than the current model. The LS, down almost over 40%. That is really concerning because that is their flagship. That is something that should be stable, you would think. It's just too bad that over 30 years this model is dying, and it's dying pretty quick. When a two-door coupe is selling almost as much as your flagship sedan, you should be concerned a little bit. The LC is dying as well. I don't think they're going to cancel the LC. Why? Because they just came out with a convertible. It's only been about 3 years in production cycle so far. They are rumored to come out with a high performance, the LCF, but that was rumored also to be postponed to 2023. So things aren't looking good for the LS and the LC or the GS, obviously. ES, RC are kind of the front runners for the brand right now, at least in terms of increased sales. So now we're going to go over the Toyota SUV division. The Sienna not doing well, down 20% on the month and 15% for the year. Why is that? Well, it's mainly because it's really long in the tooth, like a lot of their models. The Sienna really needs a redesign. It needs a hybrid version. It needs, well, doesn't need all-wheel drive, it already has it, but it needs an all-wheel drive hybrid, and a plug-in would be great. I would love to buy a plug-in Sienna if it was available. CHR doesn't do well in America, but it's actually having a decent year. It's definitely a little bit above where it was last year, and definitely a little bit above where it was a year ago, month to month. RAV4, this is a star for the show for Toyota. This thing is selling huge. It outsells the Camry now, and it's about by 100,000 units. That is substantial. The RAV4 is up 26 compared to a year ago this month, and then up about 5%. That vehicle, and I just saw one. It's my wife's birthday. I was in the Starbucks line today getting her a peppermint mocha to start her birthday, right? And I saw this brand new powder blue lady, big lady. I knew where she was headed because the Starbucks is right next to Burger King. And of course, she went into the Burger King line. Big old lady. But she was in a beautiful powder blue RAV4, and it just got me thinking, like, man, that vehicle's just selling so well. It's selling in like hotcakes, like Burger King's breakfast. Highlander. Now, the Highlander has had a slow year, and the reason for that is many people know that the redesign is coming, well, essentially this month. We should be getting the 2020 Highlander in, and then the 2020 Highlander Hybrid should be in a couple months. So these numbers are going to be positive next year for sure. It's done pretty well considering it is such a long in the tooth model. 4Runner continuing to do well. Speaking of old and been around forever, the 4Runner's been around for about 10 years now in its current form. Still doing well. At least this month, it's down about 5% on the year. We should have a new 4Runner in about 2 years from now. Sequoia, not doing so hot. That's just the way it is. Big SUVs, super big SUVs aren't doing as well as they used to when things like the Highlander get better miles per gallon and about the same usability. Land Cruiser had a okay month, actually. They sold a little bit more compared to last year. Land Cruiser is actually up 4% on the year. So overall, the Toyota SUV division has a 1.2% increase compared to last year, and their November was just insane, 14% up compared to last November. What about the Tacoma and Tundra? Well, Tundra, super old. This thing needs to be replaced by a new model. Tacoma always does well. You can see how many, they sell over double the amount of Tacomas than they do the Tundras. Very impressive, but the Tundra is something they need to get rid of and bring a new model as soon as possible. It's just unable to compete with modern offerings, at least in terms of efficiency and power from its competition. But what about the Lexus lineup? The UX selling actually lower than what I was expecting for November. There is no data from last year because we only have data from this year because it came out last December. So of course there's no November sales for the 2019 UX. But the NX continuing to increase its sales, kind of surprising. I know this segment is growing. The NX is kind of long in the tooth as well, and you guys can probably take a drink for every time I say long in the tooth, because that is kind of Lexus and Toyota's MO for creating super reliable vehicles. Their models just get really old. They stay in the product stack a little bit too long for most people, but quality is assured. Now, the NX up 14% compared to last November, but it's down 5%, and that's really the full story here, is that this NX, compared to some other models in the segment, the RDX, the BMW X3 and the Mercedes GLC 300. Those vehicles are selling very well for those other brands, definitely outselling the NX here in the States. Maybe not the Acura, but definitely the German counterparts. The RX continues to do well. Now it's up over about 1,300 units compared to last year, which is substantial, up 12%. It is down on the year, but once December is finished, I would expect this number to be pretty close to zero. It'll probably get under 1% because the new refresh 2020 RX. I'm actually editing a video that I took yesterday, expected to be up this week on the RX Hybrid. It's just a phenomenal vehicle, love it. But the RX continues to do well. It is the brand's bread and butter. The GX, this is a surprise here. GX up almost 35% compared to last November. Now, why is that? Well, that just got a refresh too. People love the old school truck SUV V8 feeling that you get from the GX. It's so quiet, so smooth. I have a video on that as well on the 2020. It's just a phenomenal vehicle. As long as you're okay with the lack of modern technology like Apple CarPlay, it will be a great vehicle, and as long as you don't mind the fuel economy. But definitely watch my review if you want to learn more about the GX. The LX had an okay month. It's definitely down on the year. This thing and the GX need to be replaced, even though the GX, I feel like they can never change the GX. Just add Apple CarPlay, leave it the way it is. The thing would continue to sell forever. It's almost like a G-Wagon in terms of like, hey, it's like super old. I know they just did a redesign on the G-Wagon, but this is like, it just works. It works well. It's super reliable, and they don't need to be on the cutting edge with the GX. But it would be nice, right? I'm sure you guys would agree with that. So total Lexus trucks are up over 5% on the year. They had an increase of 24% on the month compared to last year. That is incredible, absolutely incredible. Now we're going to look at the Toyota US hybrid sales summary. There are a lot of hybrids here that we need to talk about. So we just want to look at the increase of percentages from last November 1st, and then we'll look at the year. Prius had a good month. Avalon dying, Mirai is a joke. Highlander, look at the Highlander hybrid, 60%, RAV4 hybrid, 157%. Why? Because it is the most powerful and best option to go in the RAV4. The ES hybrid, 84%, doing really, really well. I love the ES hybrid. It would be nice to have a little bit more power, of course, all-wheel drive, but that thing is so smooth. You get 45 miles per gallon. GS hybrid is dead, so let's keep moving. UX, well, we don't have numbers on that, but you can see 869 units here of pure hybrids. NX up 29%. RX kind of at the same. There's already good penetration on the RX hybrid market, so that's just kind of continuing. LS is dying, LC is dying, so nothing to really go over there. But you can see overall volume percentage hybrids are up 65% compared to last November. And over here, you can see compared to last year total, the brand is up 26% for hybrid penetration. Very impressive, and it is where Lexus and Toyota want to go. And I'm sorry, this is 26% just for North America hybrids, but if we look at total hybrids for Toyota and Lexus, you can see that 45% increase for Lexus. That'll include Japanese models, and then 23% for Toyota. Most of the Toyotas are made here in America, where a lot of Lexus hybrids like the NX and the UX are exclusively made in Japan still. So that's why that number is so high. Of course, it is very impressive to see Toyota and Lexus do so well compared to last November. Overall, the company is still doing good, but I think the real thing to focus on here is the increase in hybrids throughout the entire product stack. And let's just talk about the RAV4. Let's focus most on that. The RAV4 is the prime, well, funny that I say prime because it just came out with the prime, but it is the prime example for the brand to really mass implement hybrid technology. Now, we know that Tesla and Volkswagen and a lot of these other competitors are trying to get to electric vehicles now, here fast, mass produce that. But Toyota's so conservative, and they are a business about profit, and they know that no one is doing it very profitably as of right now anyways. And they're very slowly getting to that. They can mass produce hybrids, reduce emissions, increase fuel economy, increase performance, while still being profitable. So that is what they're trying to do, is definitely hybridize their entire product stack, get people very familiar with electrification, then go to plug-in hybrid, and then go to full EV. Is this gonna take a while? I would love to have a full EV, and you guys, based off the poll I had, you guys would love to have a full EV from Toyota and Lexus. Unfortunately, we're just not there yet. Unless you live in China or Europe, you'll be getting some of those soon. But what do you guys think of this news? I think it's good news overall. It is definitely impressive to see that they are still growing and progressing with their volume and model lineup. We do need to see the trucks from Toyota to be rehauled, including the Sienna. I know that's not a truck, but Sienna needs an overhaul. The Tundra needs an overhaul. Therefore, the Sequoia needs an overhaul. The Tacoma, even though it would be nice to have one, it's still selling well for them. So, and then the Lexus lineup, the GX and the LX and the GS and the IS, I mean, their models are really, really old at this point. They need to have something new, fresh. We would love to, well, the NX is really the issue here. The NX definitely needs a redesign as soon as possible. That'll be coming in 2 years though, with a plug-in hybrid. But anyways, guys, that's a lot of rambling. I'll see you in the comments below and in the next video, which should be an RX 450h review on the 2020 model. It's a lot of fun filming it, and I'll bring it to you guys probably this week. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Until next time, peace out. Patrons, you guys rock. See you later.